Now with E3 in the books, we have a better idea of what's coming to PlayStation VR in the near future. We know that the unit itself will be released on October 13th for $399, and we also know the key games that are going to be available this year and early next. In this video, we will be taking a look at the top 10 upcoming PSVR games. Let's get right into this. Number 10, Rez Infinite. When you look at existing game series and what could really benefit from VR, Rez is a great one. If you don't know what Rez is, it's a very artistic on-rail shooter music rhythm hybrid. Rez Infinite will be a remake of Rez with brand new additions and of course VR. The thought of playing Rez while actually seeing everything seems like a pretty amazing gaming experience. We still don't know when Rez Infinite will be released, but hopefully we'll see it before the year's out. Number 9, Here They Lie. Here They Lie is being developed by Sony Santa Monica. It's a psychological horror game where you're transported to a dark world inhabited by creatures. Horror games is definitely a genre that can benefit from VR, and the ambiance in the trailer has that spooky feel. Here They Lie is set to be released this fall. Number 8, Batman Arkham VR. Not too many people were expecting a Batman Arkham VR game, but here it is. While some might think this game is a side project being developed by a secondary studio, it isn't. Rocksteady is making the game, and the core team that worked on Arkham Knight will also be working on this. The trailer didn't give you a lot to work with, it did set a nice tone for the game, and while Batman Arkham VR is a brand new game, apparently it's gonna clock in at an hour and a half to 2 hours long, so don't expect something huge in AAA, but still stepping inside Batman's world in VR is pretty exciting. Number 7, Star Wars Battlefront X-Wing VR Mission. We knew a Star Wars Battlefront experience was coming to VR, but details for a while were pretty scarce. We finally know a bit more. The game is being developed by Criterion, the guys that made the Burnout games, and as the title suggests, you'll be in the heart of an X-Wing piloting it. Star Wars Battlefront X-Wing VR Mission releases later this year. Number 6, Farpoint. Farpoint is one of the more technically impressive PlayStation VR games. The game is a space adventure set on a hostile alien planet. You are on a mission when suddenly a rupture from an anomaly transports you to an unknown alien world. Maybe not the most original concept in the world, but the trailer does a pretty good job highlighting Farpoint's exhilarating world. We still don't have a release date for Farpoint, but it seems like this is one that won't make 2016.
We gotta move now!
Number 5, Golem. Golem is an adventure game where you take control of giant stone golems and explore an ancient abandoned city. This is the first game from Highwire, an independent studio founded by industry veterans. The composer of Golem is actually Marty O'Donnell, the guy that did the music for Halo and Destiny. There's no release date at this point for Golem, but hopefully we'll see it at the PSVR's launch. Number 4, Ace Combat 7. Another game series that seems a perfect fit for VR is Ace Combat, and we're getting that with Ace Combat 7, a combat flight simulator with VR support. It's something that definitely caters towards console gamers. Added to the fact that it's been nearly a decade since the last Ace Combat game, it'll be nice to see this series back. Ace Combat 7 won't be exclusive to VR, you'll still be able to play it with traditional controls, but the added VR element is something that has a lot of potential. Ace Combat 7 still doesn't have a release date. 2017, however, seems likely. Number 3, Rig's Mechanized Combat League. Competitive multiplayer games and VR probably doesn't sound like the most alluring experience in the world, but that's exactly what Rig's Mechanized Combat League is going for. In the game, you take control of machines known as rigs. There's many different rigs to pick from, and each has its own style based on its size, shape, abilities, and weapons. The game looks to be a very fast-paced arena shooter, and while multiplayer is one of the core components of Rigs, it'll also have a single-player mode.
Here comes Kill Switch! Boom! Takedown! The crowd goes wild! He's through on goal!
Number 2, Gran Turismo Sport. Gran Turismo is finally arriving to PlayStation 4 with Gran Turismo Sport. Bear in mind that Polyphony is not considering GT Sport a mainline entry. Rather, it's a side game. Racing is another genre that can benefit from the inclusion of VR, and Gran Turismo experimenting with this is pretty exciting. Series creator Kazunori Yamauchi described the VR integration as very good and very natural. We'll take that with a grain of salt for now, but we'll know soon enough when Gran Turismo Sport releases on November 15. And finally, number 1, Resident Evil 7. Resident Evil is back with Resident Evil 7, and the entire game from start to finish can be played using PSVR. Now, the news of Resident Evil being in VR wouldn't be all too exciting if Resident Evil 7 was like the last few entries. Resident Evil 5 and 6 were really more action-oriented, but RE7 looks to be taking the series back to its roots. It's more of a survival horror game, engaging from the trailer and the demo. The game does invoke a far different atmosphere than the last few games. Resident Evil 7 won't make 2016, but it won't be too long. The game is set to come on January 24th. So that wraps up our countdown of the top 10 upcoming PlayStation VR games. What do you think? Has PSVR won you over, or are you still skeptic of the tech? What PSVR games are you the most excited for? Let us know in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.